No.
That. And again, no buzzers here. Good evening, one and all. I hope you're all doing well. Oh, we've got somebody there. I'll bet that's Rita. She's definitely, you can always guarantee on Rita being there. She's a loyal watcher.
Yeah, I noticed she's on a fair few of them. Happy 4th of July, by the way. Happy 4th of July to people on the other side.
Well done. Happy 4th of July to everybody in the States and to you, Eric.
And Rita.
I'm sharing out right now, so just go ahead, Dan.
No, you carry on, mate. You carry on.
They've had the day off work, they have, over there.
Do they get their bank holiday, is it?
Yeah, they get bank holiday.
Wow.
Yeah.
A lot of people have cookouts and stuff, don't they, in the States at this time, not now?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Are you doing anything for it special this evening, Eric?
No.
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 You get to an age where you can't be bothered, don't you? You think, oh, do you know what? I've had enough of that. I've done that.
He's just talking to us special people on here.
He is speaking to special people. We're all special here. Well, good evening, everybody in the chat. Hello, Rita. We've got another member in the chat. Let's see who that is. There's 3 in the chat now, so hopefully we can begin. So welcome to the Weird Room, everybody, with myself, Eric, and the wonderful Tim. And this evening, every week, you know that we're going to be picking on a different subject that's going to be kind of thrown to the wind. It's going to be objective in the sense that it's very weird and unusual. You know, we will go on about ghosts, and we'll go on about things like cryptids, but we want to take in the whole spectrum. So we want to include stuff that is kind of a bit out there, even though you know the sort of stuff we talk about is out there. This is particularly out there. And this week we've got one called Sam, the Sandown Clown. And this one actually gravitates around a couple of children that live on the Isle of Wight. They live on the Isle of Wight. They lived on the Isle of Wight. They may still live there now. I don't really know. I don't think anybody can trace them, which seems to be the case. I think people get to a certain age and then they negate what happened. They get a little bit embarrassed by admitting to the circumstances in which they had their the exposure, and they don't want it anymore. So Sam the Sandown Clown, it was in 1973 in May. This isn't the start of the story by any stretch of the imagination. You will see as things go on. And in May, there were 2 children, and they were playing down. It was like a housing estate, but it was kind of backed onto some fields and a little bit of a swamp area, and also a sort of an open area that was like a meadow. And as they were playing, they heard this really, really loud noise, like a klaxon. It was like the sound of an alarm. And of course, being children, they were both 7 years old, they were particularly inquisitive. So they ran down to where the sound emanated from, and they got to a bridge, and they stood at the side of the bridge. And from just underneath the bridge, they saw a blue glove appear, which with 3 fingers encased in a blue glove. And then from underneath, followed that blue glove, or that hand, was what can only be described as a very weird, mechanical-looking clown. Now, its description is it had sort of a triangular head, had triangular eyes, it had a squared nose, and it had a pink slit for a mouth, and it was sort of dressed in a multitude of different colours, hence the name, because it referred to itself as I am Sam, the multicoloured clown. So anyway, this thing was thrashing about in the water under the bridge, and it had a book in its hand, and it dropped the book several times and kept going under, getting the book, retrieving the book, fishing around, pulling it out again. And then they saw it come out of the river and walk off. So the kids, being kids, decided to follow it, and they followed this clown, or this energy, whatever you want to call him, down into the tree line, and then they followed him down through the tree line, and they stood by the tree line, and they could see in the meadow that he was there, and he was making his way towards what can only be described as looking like a workman's hut or a workman's shed, the metal ones which were made out of corrugated. But he wasn't walking normally, he was actually hopping. So his knees were coming up right past his elbows, and he was just kind of hopping towards this shed. Hiya, William. I hope you're well.
I think I got it out.
On doing so, he turned around and he looked at the children, and he made eye contact with them, and the boy got scared and ran off. But the little girl said that in the back of her head, She felt everything was okay. She felt it was safe.
Hi, Jamie.
Now, he was walking around. Hi, Jay. He was walking around. This is the clown. He was walking around, and he had a white line coming out of his chest, and he was holding something that looked like a mic. And he said to them through this mic, "Don't be frightened. I won't hurt you."
Really?
So then the boy came back, and both children went down to where the clown was, followed him up to this metal hut. There were also 2 workmen there that were working on electric pylon, and they didn't notice anything. They said that they didn't see a thing. Hi, Nettie. So what they did, they followed him down to this metal hut, and he went inside. They went inside with him. They said the inside, there was wallpaper that looked like it had dials on it, and there was also wooden chairs and a table in there, and there was an upstairs to this building as well, this hut as well. They spent around about a half an hour, 40 minutes with him. The girl said to him, "Are you a man?" And he replied in this robotic voice, "No, I'm not a man." And she said, "Are you a ghost?" And he said, "No, I'm not a ghost." "Well, kind of a ghost." And then he left it at that. They then left the actual building itself, went off, and as they turned their back on the building, when they turned back around to look, the building had gone. It completely disappeared.
Really?
Now, the odd thing is that the girl's father became very interested in the story that the girl was relaying. So he decided to record it, and he decided to sit on it. And what he never told anybody, but he did come out years later, that in 1970, so 3 years previous to his daughter's and his daughter's friend's experience, that he had been driving home and he saw some red lights in the sky, and they were bright. They were the color, he described them as the color of cherries, and they were emitting some light source, and it followed him home. So he decided on a couple of occasions to pull over, and he had a torch or a flashlight inside his car that he got out, and he signaled to this UFO, for want of a better description. He signaled to this UFO, and it started to make a connection back to him, and then started to follow him even more. He then got a little bit scared, jumped into his car, drove home. His neighbour and friend was outside, and his neighbour also verifies that he saw this machine following the girl's father. On top of that, the machine seemed to be hiding behind the wood line. It was playing a sort of hide and seek. It didn't really want to be seen, or it was given the impression it didn't want to be seen. So that went by, and then a couple of years later, the chap was down on the coast. I'm not sure he was taking a walk or what he was doing down there. And he was sitting there, and he noticed that just in the coastline, this is the Isle of Wight, guys, just in the coastline, very close to the coastline, he noticed a wave. This wave moved up and came in, which looked unusual. And then he saw that there was something actually coming out of the water that he described as a disc. And it had 3 lights on it. And 2 of the lights, he said, were looking in our eyes. So this thing came up to the top, which as we know now, a lot of these sightings of UFOs and UAPs are actually discovered to come from the water, is the case. And he followed it. So he didn't follow it. He looked at it, and then it submerged again, and he never saw it. So that was his connection. That would tell you why he was so interested in the story that his daughter had to tell.
Yeah.
Same thing on another part of the island. Although I can't really find a lot of information on it, but apparently there were some men that had seen a hut that was the same, that had kind of just disappeared from sight within the back of an eyelid. But I can't really find too much information on that. I'll have to dig a bit more. But that's the overall story. So it's really, as you can see, it's a really unusual and weird story. And I want to throw it open. I mean, I spoke to Tim. Tim's of the same mind as me. And what do you think, Tim?
Well, I think it's extraterrestrial.
It sounds very much in the sense of extraterrestrial.
Yeah. I think I also think that we perceive things differently in our mind's eye when we see these things.
Yes.
So because they were children, maybe a clown.
Yeah.
I mean, it happened when me and my daughter saw this. Well, she saw this fairy first. I told you before, but I just saw a blue light
Yeah.
Do you know what? Tell them about. I don't know if they've heard of the experience. It's a really interesting experience that Emma had, isn't it?
Yeah. We were. It's when I lived in Clovelly in North Devon, and there was a lovely walk, and it was like a real magical walk through the woods. Really old, gnarly trees. Proper. If you're going to see a fairy, this was the place you were going to see them.
Wow.
And she said, "Look." I looked up and I saw this blue orb, bright blue orb going through the trees. And she said, "A fairy." And then she saw it as a little fairy. So this is my point. If, maybe we perceive things differently when we see them, if they're not, I wasn't going to say normal, but it's not, everything's normal, isn't it? But just perceive things differently in our eyes when we see these things. If you're a child, maybe they come across as something slightly different to what we would see.
I'm like you, and I think this idea has come up as well before with other people that, and you're thinking along the same lines as me, that it's possibly that they can cloak themselves to take on an image of something that is acceptable to whoever they think they're dealing with. But I think an interesting point as well with this clown is she said, do you speak to other people? And the message that he relayed was, no, I'm frightened of other people. I'm worried that they may hurt me or something along those lines. So clearly, I don't think there was anything negative there from what I can perceive, because there was plenty of opportunities for it to be.
You think going back on the alien thing, that an alien by itself coming to Earth or whatever it came from, it'd be like, somebody sees me and catches me, they're gonna kill me, do a biopsy on me,
yeah, which they would.
They would, without any care in the world, and that's the problem, isn't it?
Yeah,
and that's the thing, and that concerns me. I mean, I've seen people that have said, I've watched a lot of these people that. Hi, Irene. I've watched a lot of these people, and you guys have seen it as well, where they turn around and say, "Well, I go out hunting," and and these are on programs that are dedicated to cryptids. What would you do if you came against one? Well, I'd shoot it. Why? Why is that the first thing you go to?
Yeah, exactly.
Why? What harm has it done to you?
Why do you have to kill things just because you have a gun?
I know. I know. It's the way of which, to be honest, if nothing wants to come to this planet to visit us, I can actually see why.
Yeah,
they coming to England, which the guns are outlawed. So,
it's barbaric here, though. We haven't got with guns. We've got with knives.
Wow.
Also, there was some workmen there, wasn't there? And they looked totally oblivious to it all, wasn't they?
Yeah, and they were working up the electric pole, weren't they?
Yeah.
A good old view, and they didn't. They said no, didn't even see it. Didn't even see
it.
I know a lot of people like what we were speaking about last week. A lot of people say, well, they're children, and it could be just children's stories and what have you. Like we were talking about the gnomes of Woollerton, weren't we? And the thing is, well, yeah, you could be, but then maybe you're not. And it sounds very intricate. And of course, it's what throws me this one and the one last week is there were previous experiences that people had that these people had no relationship to the children that were reporting what they'd seen.
Yeah.
So it's a case of there's several different layers of activity there that is not out for general public, and you can only find it by looking for it.
Yeah, didn't he say that the clown or whatever he was? Didn't he say he used to go to the mainland as well?
Yes.
Did he?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. 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 It's
So
interesting.
Obviously, the shed was his craft of some kind.
Yeah,
especially because they went back and it wasn't there, didn't they?
Yeah, it'd gone completely. I think it's gone, mate.
I think the father went back with the kids, didn't he?
Yeah, and they said that when they turned their back, they turned their back on it to just walk away, and when they turned around, it was just gone.
Yeah,
just gone. And it seems really weird, doesn't it, that these metal sheds, for want of a better description, these workman huts, were both anomalies, and yet by the same They said that, yeah, they said that, but no, that the jury's still out on it, I think. But yeah, that was one idea that came up. I think they poo-pooed that because of it was red lights, wasn't it? And they had actually followed him.
Yeah.
Although, who knows who's telling the truth, really?
Exactly. Oh yeah.
But it's still a compelling, piece of or compelling story, really. And I can
another
see
one
why it falls into both camps. I can see why it could, people could possibly mistake it for the Fae, and also for because a lot of these paranormal activity runs along parallel lines, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But it's interesting.
And then think about it. Could that, the way it looks, be its spacesuit or whatever,
Yeah. Yeah.
It had a pointed hat on with like 2 antennae as well, didn't it?
Yeah. And he also he offered them food, didn't he? And when they went inside, he offered them food and it was just berries. And the thing is that what he did to feed himself is he put the berry in an opening below his ear, didn't he?
Yeah.
And it fell through and they said they saw it in his eye. And then the next thing they saw it in his mouth and he kind of swallowed it. So I don't know. Perhaps, kids love tricks, don't they? Kids love magic. Perhaps he thought he was, calming them down by doing things like that would keep them preoccupied and happy.
Could be.
But obviously nothing bad or untoward happened because they kind of left there without. Although actually, if you get hold of them children now, and if you could, I mean, adults now, aren't they? But if you could hypnotize them and then find out, run through the experience and see, hi, Charles.
They're going to be nearly 60 now, aren't they?
They are. They're going to be our age, and that's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you did get them and you put them under hypnosis and try and regress them to the point of see what did happen. So Irene says we have so many UFOs here in Japan and no one looks down, but up in the sky after an earthquake.
Yeah.
The power station plants bombard you. Yeah, we see a lot of that. We saw a lot of that with Hi Yazira. We saw a lot of that with
Hi Sarah
plants over here, didn't we? And nuclear power plants seem to be inundated with UFOs and interest from UFOs. So, and we've also had missile silos closed down, completely shut down because of UFO activity.
Chile's a big hot spot, isn't it?
Where's that? Sorry,
Chile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. I'd also like to look at what other activity has been seen on the Isle of Wight because. And another thing that I'd like to look at as well is I'd like to follow. I know it sounds like off the wall, but ley lines. And see the amount of activity that emanates around these ley lines and, whether there's any kind of indication there that could be an energy source that is... Because they believed they were spirit highways, didn't they, years ago? They thought they were there for the druids and the shamans and what have you to follow
I still think that now.
Spirit world. So, yeah.
It's amazing how a lot of these are like Stonehenge and then you go up the road and I think, isn't Avebury on the same ley line?
Yeah. Yeah. Is it the St. Michael
I mean, how did they know? How did they know that? All them years ago.
I know. Well, it's like you look at a lot of these churches or a lot of these Christian buildings, don't you? And obviously, what they did, they preoccupied what were already standing pagan sites.
Yeah.
And the pagans must have known something because there's energy lines that run underneath those buildings.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there's an indication there was something going on there.
Definitely.
I don't. It's we treat it like it's ancient technology, which it is, but I also think that it was probably a lot more fine tuned back in the day. I think what we've done, we've lost contact with it.
Yeah.
I think that people years ago were probably far more advanced than they are today. And there's nothing. I mean, some people have said that are these ships that are coming, these UFOs, whatever you want to call them, under the water. Yeah, exactly. Are they? Sorry, I forgot what I was going to say then. Yeah, these ships that are coming up out of the water, are they humanoids? Are they a race that lived there previous to us? We don't know, do we? It's all supposition and guesswork at the minute.
Atlantis.
divinings. I've done a bit of divination over the years, and it is surprisingly interesting. And it's crazy when JAL airlines fly over the North Pole. They see so many UFOs, but pilots get canned for reporting them. Yeah, and a lot of that North Pole's actually cut off, isn't it? Yep. The planes was that the planes flying north? Was that? Sorry, I didn't see that.
It's North Pole
because it's shorter going to America. Yeah. Yeah, that's what they tell you. I'm suspicious overall. I'm suspicious. Everything the government says and does, I don't know. I question it.
Oh yeah.
Well, I don't know. Like I keep telling everybody, though, the government doesn't do this stuff to deliberately piss you off or put you into danger. They do it so you're not in danger. So that's why they tell you misinformation.
I think they do it to keep you under control.
Mm.
I think that everything they. I don't think anything a government does. I don't like governments. There's no. There's no secret there. I can't stand them. I think that they're all corrupt. They're all bastards. They're all out.
Totally agree.
You know.
Well, they used to control the masses with the religion, but that don't work anymore. So now they do it with politics.
Yeah, they're doing it with politics, and you see it, don't you, right the way through society that they're using different aspects of society as a way of controlling the masses. So while you're fighting with each other, I'm over here doing this. I'm over here doing that. You know.
Yeah,
I don't trust any of them. I don't trust one of them.
Spot on,
they're all bastards. Bastards. Cheers, Nettie. So yeah, I mean it's intriguing, but the thing about the clown thing, I mean I can only think that, like you said, Tim, that it's showing it's showing a positive aspect or a positive side to children by cloaking itself as a clown.
Yeah,
you know. She did ask them were there any others, and he said, "Yeah." There's more of us. So I don't know.
Seems odd.
In the day.
I wonder what the book means. All that dropping it and going back in and getting the book and bring it back up and what that's all about. What's that all about?
That reminds me of sort of a children's clown behaviour. Dropping things, fumbling, picking them up, dropping things, fumbling, then making a sound like a klaxon, which is a sound that a clown would make, isn't it? Wouldn't it be amazing though if there was actually a race of people out there, the planet, they were all clowns.
Oh, they've got a Bermuda Triangle, Irene says.
Fishing vessels come out empty.
Yeah.
Boats from the Tapno crew. Yeah, they're Korean Chinese fishermen. Yeah.
Well, I reckon the Alaskan Triangle's the worst one of the lot, don't they? Alaskan Triangle.
Yeah, it did, Nicola. Yeah, that's massive.
65,000 people in 1 year disappeared.
Mm-hmm. You couldn't credit that, could you?
No.
You know, you think of that, it's like filling Wembley up, isn't it? That amount of people have gone missing. And yet a lot of them, there's no evidence. It's like the 411, isn't it? I think it's David Pilates, isn't it, in the 411? That the amount of people that have got, and literally, I mean, he followed it and he said that it was national parks across the states, and there was thousands of people that have gone missing over the years. Yeah, we know people go missing and get lost, and no matter how good a hiker you are, if the weather turns, sometimes you're going to get stuffed. You know, there are going to be mishaps and what have you. But logically, that a number of people going missing that are going on set hikes that they haven't deviated from, and people have followed them within yards and then lost them within yards. People have been out picnicking these forests. Children have gone missing, literally within just out of sight of the parents, playing hide and seek. And it does make you wonder what's going on. But now I think he's traced it, hasn't he? A lot of the 411s now. He's encompassing people that have gone missing that have got the same is what they call it, the MO as the ones that have gone missing in America globally, even over here. But yeah, it's interesting. They brought some back though, like Close Encounters.
Yep, Close Encounters.
Yeah, they have brought. Apparently, they have, haven't they, Brian?
Oh, I love that movie.
Apparently, it's not just aliens that have been taking people. It's Bigfoot, Dogman.
Yeah.
You know, whatever.
I guess
Yeah,
we don't even know what they are, do we? They could be.
No, we don't.
They could be alien
Yeah.
for all we know. They could be. I don't think they're alien. I think they're alien in the sense that they're extra dimensional or interdimensional. I'm not sure about the whole coming from different. I do believe there is life out there. Of course there is.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure about it making the journey here. Although I'm guided by the amount of physics that we've got, and physics want to change, aren't they? So who really knows?
People keep saying that.
Do you know, I've not watched that for so long. It's such a good film, Charles.
What's that?
The Matrix.
I couldn't get into that. I think I couldn't really understand it. It
I
it was
enjoyed
a bit
that. There was
above me a bit.
There was another one I couldn't understand. Insidious, not Insidious. I can't think what it was. With the Inception. That was the one I couldn't get my head around. Sorry, what did Irene say? Sorry, Eric. Technically speaking, our country was founded by alien technology, so we have created organs that man couldn't develop without technology, and it will blow people up. Yes.
Wow.
We were talking about this last night, Irene. Yeah, we were saying about a lot of on the Asian continent. There's a lot of stuff there that is, for want of a better description, is almost alien to the rest of the human race.
Yep.
So yeah. So who knows? Who knows? Who knows? And there's obviously smoke screens out there, isn't there? People are throwing smoke screens in and trying to hide. Like the guy who's, I don't trust the guy who's the latest whistleblower from not NASA, but one of those government bodies in America.
Yeah.
I don't trust him at all because he's very cagey as to what he says. Well, you know what? I don't really want to let too much information out because Russia and China will get hold of it, and I don't want to put my country at odds with them, and I don't want to tell you information they've got. And it's like, well, why are you coming out and telling us anything then?
Yeah.
If you can't tell us everything, then just shut up.
Shut up. Yeah.
You know? That's a good one, 2001 Space Odyssey.
Yep.
Yeah, I couldn't. I saw that as well when it first came. I couldn't understand that either.
that was an odd film when that first came out, actually. It's only when after watching it a couple of times I fell into it a bit. I still didn't understand it, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But yeah, who knows? Who knows what's going on? But getting back to the Isle of Wight, it's sort of the least.
Yeah, we've gone off tangent.
Yeah, it's the place that you would least suspect of that sort of not just activity, but that activity that's weird on that level.
That is weird.
Well, how big is the island?
Oh, it's small.
It's not big at all, is it? It's I don't know.
I think it's about 100 miles around.
So it's tiny.
If you go around the coast, if I remember
tiny,
right.
Really.
Might be wrong. About 100 miles round to get round it.
Wow.
So nothing. Nothing.
And it's only, well, I went down the New Forest last year and along, what's it called? There's a peninsula goes out, and you could literally, the island was literally quarter of a mile to get onto. Do you know what I mean? So it's very close to the mainland, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. It's
not like it's far away.
No, I like the Isle of Wight. I think that's quite a mystical place as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's sort of, I think that's because it's untouched, isn't it? It's like a little pearl set in the ocean or in the sea there.
Yeah.
And it's sort of untouched, isn't it? And it's that's very mystical and weird and wonderful. I'm sure there's lots of activity that's gone on there. I know that it's meant to be super haunted, isn't it? They're meant to
I don't know.
Lots of paranormal, lots of ghost sightings and activity on there.
Is there?
Yeah, loads of it apparently. But
yeah, looking up places to go see. It's got a lot of haunted places that I'm go see on the Isle of Wight.
Yeah, you got to see the Isle of Wight. I like the Isle of Wight.
I've never been on to the Isle of Wight myself.
Have you not? I think the last time I went on there, it was a bloody. It'll show you how long since I went on there. I went on there on a bloody hovercraft.
Lindisfarne?
Lindisfarne, yeah. Lindisfarne's gorgeous. Been there, lovely. It's up by the border between England and Scotland.
Okay.
It's like a monastery, an old monastery, and you can drive out to it when the tide's low. You can drive out to it.
Oh, I think it might be one of the places I wrote down.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Very, very spiritual. But it would be interesting to see to see if there are any. Or I might look up and see if I can find any evidence of ley lines that run through the Isle of Wight. I'm sure they must do.
Oh yeah, gotta be.
That run through the Isle of Wight, and if they run anywhere near where that activity was seen.
Yeah.
You know, Anglesey. There you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. It is interesting. But we should. What's that? Funny how we accept aliens, but we're afraid of spirits. Dan, go figure.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. We're an odd species, aren't we? I suppose the thing with spirits is we perceive them to be just an appendage of ourselves, whereas with aliens, there's something. If you pardon the pun, alien.
Hi, Noreen.
Hi, Noreen. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's almost worth taking a trip out there just to try and chase down the area and have a look. Perhaps we'll do that. Perhaps we'll all sort ourselves out with a shower bank or a day trip out there. Or whatever.
Yeah, a little jolly over to the Isle of Wight.
Yeah, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? Go to the Isle of Wight, have a little look around Sandown.
Yeah.
See what's going. Might run into a clown who lives in a shed. Who knows?
Yeah. You kind of wonder, did it happen more times than, than just that once? Or
that's the thing, isn't it? People won't come forward, will they?
Yeah.
No.
They're frightened of ridicule and that. Particularly, I mean, nowadays it's a totally different environment, isn't it? People are quite happy to share experiences with you because I think people are more open with it now. But back in the 70s, no, people wouldn't share that sort of stuff with you, would they? They'd keep that quiet.
Yeah,
most
definitely.
people. But yeah, I mean, it would be interesting to see what other activity has gone on around there, and it'd be interesting to track those. Well, they're adults now, aren't they? They're sort of in their 50s, 60s. It'd be interesting to speak to those kids that were kids then, and see what their experience really was. And maybe, as I say, get them under some form of hypnosis. Who knows?
Well, did they say that the police took down a statement too?
I haven't done that yet. What was that? Sorry?
Didn't they say the police took down a statement too?
I don't know. Did they? I didn't know. I didn't know
they
that.
Said that.
I didn't know that. They may very well have, Eric. You may have found something I didn't.
Huh.
Nice we got to meet up there, Brian.
Yeah.
I think we're all going to go there, aren't we?
Find out if they did, and then that would have to have the names of the kids on it, and then look them up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because it's what? How long? 50 odd, 40 odd years now. 50 years.
But yeah.
I suppose any legislation that was put on it, any restrictions would be lifted by now, wouldn't they? You should be able to access it.
Well, I'm 52 and I was born in 71, so.
Blimey.
Is that when you were born in 71? Oh, you're a whippersnapper.
Blimey, he's a young lad.
He's a youngster. He's a kid. When you come over here, we'll do what I used to do with us years ago. You sit you outside the pub with a Coke and a packet of crisps.
59, I was born 1959. I'm from the 50s.
Yeah.
Blimey. 1992 I was born.
92.
1892.
1892.
Bryce says, who's that? Who's the youngster? I'm me. I am Bry. I think you're talking about Eric
you're,
here, aren't you, Bry?
Dan's got. Oh yeah. Who's the youngest? Eric.
Yeah,
Eric,
or Dan.
By a mile. I'm 57.
And my wife is 56. So.
Oh, Bry was born in 1960.
Wow. He's 6 years older than no. Yeah.
That's not old though, is it?
Well, he's 6 years older than my wife, so.
Not old now, is it?
No.
I must admit, I was saying the other night when I flicked through, when people ask you to put your date of your birth, and you flick through a calendar, you think, bloody hell, I'm going back ages yet, and I still haven't come across it.
Yeah, it does. It takes ages.
As we were saying earlier, there's nothing you do to change it. So you might as well just enjoy it.
Yeah.
Again, not considered old now, Charles.
Mm-hmm.
Not considered old now.
No.
But yes, it would be interesting to go back and try and find out what happened to those kids. It's amazing, isn't it? How those kids go into they go into anonymity, like the children from the Bulletin Gnomes and stuff, and they don't want to have any contact or any recognition of what happened to them.
No.
Well,
You know?
and then at the time too, if you're underage, I don't know about there, but here by law, you can't even contact them unless you talk to their parents, and the parents say no, then
Yeah, it's the same here. Yeah, I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's a global law that you can't, which is fair enough. You can't be contacting kids, but yeah, you can contact the parent and see if you can get the story through them.
Yeah.
But yeah, and there's not been. I'm not saying that there's been books written on it, but they've sort of been. The books have been sort of second and third hand views.
Yeah.
So information that's been filtered through. So you never know whether you're going to get, the actual relevance of the truth of it.
And how much you're getting the truth of just by reading about it,
Well, yeah, exactly. And of course, at the end of the day, there's always the question, what is the truth?
Mm-hmm.
Is there any truth to it? I think there probably is, but people don't want to give it up, do they, anymore? People just don't want to tell you. Be interesting if you think if everybody, I think, came forward and told you of their experiences that they'd had, I think you'd find it would be exponential. It would go through the roof, the amount of activity that people are experiencing.
Yeah.
If you could data log it all, I don't think you'd have enough. You'd have enough room, would you, really, for that sort of information? But it's interesting.
Oh, totally.
So yeah, I mean, my money is on this. My money's on it. It's probably some form of alien or something along the UFO line.
Yeah.
But then, as I say, there's no. I mean, where does one begin and one end? I mean, I got to the point as well where I thought that all of that activity, whether it be ufology, whether it be ghosts, whether it be spiritual or whatever it is, I always felt that it's emanating from one source.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is
it's all connected. All connected.
Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon.
Which is why there's so much similarity between it all,
Yeah, with Sasquatch, there's orbs and things are quite often seen, aren't they?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. At the same time.
Yeah, yeah. Dogmen. They've seen orbs there. Some people, there's a guy in America who had an experience with dogmen and Bigfoot, and he actually got physically attacked. And he said that he's a copper. He was a sheriff, town sheriff. And he was camping, and he said that he was working with his deputy, and they were going out hunting and fishing. And they got attacked in the evening by these, what he only described as dogmen or monsters. And he said that we got away eventually, got into the pickup and drove as fast as we could to this hill. But on the way up the hill, we saw Sasquatch, what we believe was Sasquatch. And it almost seemed like the Sasquatch were controlling the dogmen. So, and then there were lights in the sky. So you don't know, do you? Do you know what? I don't believe in orbs, but I don't completely and utterly
disregard them.
Throw the baby out with the bathwater, because there is that I've had where, with one in particular, that has left me scratching my head to this day.
Yeah,
and this thing was it wasn't ball electricity. I've seen that. This thing moved with an intention. It moved with an intelligence, and it followed a trajectory that this spirit was said to follow in this pub. And I watched it in daylight. The pub was closed up.
Yeah.
I watched this thing leave the bar, come around, go up to the door, go up to the bolt at the top of the door like it was checking it, come down, look through the glass, and then move back behind the bar and disappear. And this thing was emitting an electricity, and it wasn't ball electricity. It wasn't anything like that. This thing was intelligent.
Again, technically, yes, it was, because your body's full of it.
Well, yeah, but it wasn't ball lightning, I meant to say. It wasn't ball lightning.
But yes, ball energy exists too.
Oh, energy. Yeah, energy's what it's everything, is it? It's a composite of what we are and who we are. It's if you like, the energy's our blueprint, isn't it? It's got everything coded into it.
And I think what people are seeing when they see an actual orb is that person or whatever, that spirit trying to manifest itself. So you can only see this first, and then
it's interesting. I mean, it took me by such surprise that the guy who was sitting next to me was writing up some notes prior to the investigation, and I nudged him, and he looked, and he saw it because he was fascinated with it as well. And it was like, what the hell's this? The barman or the landlord didn't seem surprised because he'd already explained to us that was the trajectory that the spirit had taken. That they saw this full manifestation of a guy walking to the door and then walking back, looking through, checking the lock. So it was something that had happened regularly. Yeah. I don't think it was a playback. I don't think it was stone tape theory, because this thing was in, you could see this energy. Yeah. It was a physical energy. It looked like it was a spirit, I guess, but it looked like it manifested like a physical energy. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what I saw with when I was with Emma. I think an orb that's giving off its own light is totally different to one's supposedly orbs you see on night vision cameras,
exactly.
Which are dust. I would think 99.999% of the time.
Yeah, I'd agree with that fully. I think you're absolutely spot on there. I think that they are. I think if you can't see them and you can only see them on a playback or you can see them reflected on a photo, you know that it's not.
Yeah.
It's something to either do with dust too close to the lens, dust too far away, smudge on the camera lens, insects. Yeah. And you can tell if it's an insect or a bug, can't you? If you'd see it like real time.
Yeah.
I think the problem is that a lot of people see what they want to see, don't they? I've experienced that with lots of people over the years.
Well, Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, Eric?
Well, I eventually want to, when I get over there permanently, I want to buy a Tesla coil, not a small one like you can buy in the store. I want to buy a big one that I can take, not too big where I can't move it, but where I can take it somewhere.
And get the energy going.
Power to it and turn it on and see what happens.
Wow.
Yeah, well, Tesla's on the ball, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
If they're good enough for Tesla, good enough for us. Yeah, rods are. Yeah, I agree, Brian. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think that's been proven now, isn't it? That those rods are insects. But yeah, it was interesting. Mm. So that's the Sandown Clown, really.
It's not a long story, is it?
No, it's not. But it was so weird and off the wall.
Yeah,
it was kind of what the hell was going on here? This is an odd one. I sort of read about it years ago and decided to delve into it again because it was intriguing. And again, they say, children are making things up, but it seems to be children mainly that are experiencing this activity.
Yeah.
And is it because they're innocent, they're more open, they're not as judgmental as adults, and they take things on face value? Do these entities, these energies, or do they recognize that and think, I'm safe around a kid, not going to be safe around adults?
Yeah, I'm sure that's the point of it. As a kid, I could see spirits. And then when I got older, got more scared of my abilities, I shut them off. So.
Yeah, and I think it's people frighten you, don't they? Because they tell you, that's a ghost or that's this and that. And then it becomes something
that doesn't exist. I'm like, well, it does to me. But if you say so, okay, well.
Well, they turn it into something sinister, don't they? When it's not. It's just an energy, It's just a person. But the people being what people are, they'll turn it into something of a bloom for you. Those thing blooms, they're dotted bloom things, Brian. Mm-hmm. Yeah, people turn it into something sinister and something negative, and by the time you're 7 or 8 and you get frightened, and I think it knocks that innocence out of you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Be interesting, actually. I don't mean this in any negative form. Be interesting to speak to children that are special requirements and stuff like that, and maybe not children, even young adults, and to see if they're more, because of their innocence, their level of innocence, if they're more open to experiencing stuff like that.
Yeah, pretty sure they are.
I'm sure they are. I think because they're positive, isn't it? Their energy's positive, isn't it? It's not. It's not tainted by cynicism and the adult world,
Well, that person's perception of reality is different than a regular person's. So,
yeah, and I think they probably go through. Well, I'm sure they go through their lives. They always seem happy. because they're not continually questioning things. They're not unhappy with their lot like a lot of us seem to be. So they're content with what they've got, no matter how little it is, and they just enjoy it and make the most of it, which is really, if you think about it, it's the answer to life that we're all looking for, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
It is.
Really.
You know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like they've got it right, and we're the ones that have got it wrong.
Yeah, looking back,
To a degree.
my childhood was fabulous. My childhood.
Mhm.
I mean, even back then, you hadn't got the computers and all this
No.
technology. Then, had you? You went out and played, didn't you? And,
Like, do you know what I was thinking about the other day? I remember being sent out by my mum, and she'd send me out in the morning, summer holidays. You'd be out all day,
Yeah.
wouldn't you? And then what?
yeah,
I
it didn't
remember having
rain, did
this-
it?
Oh no, and it didn't seem to, did it?
No.
And I remember having this plastic canteen, like a soldier's canteen. It wasn't a real soldier one; it was like a plastic one, filling it up with water and orange juice,
Yeah.
buggering off out for the day, and over the fields and that with your mates or outside all day playing
All
soldiers.
All day.
All day. Go home knackered.
Yeah.
That's that week. Mum would scrub you down with a flannel and stick you in the bath if you needed it, and then that was it, done.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, and then you get to a certain age where people continually tell you they're the best days of your life, and you say, "Nah, it's bollocks." And then you get to our age, and you think, "Fuck, they were."
Yeah, it was.
Fuck, they were, weren't they?
I think about that regularly because I grew up with about 300 acres of woods in my backyard.
Perfect.
Wow.
Perfect.
And I'd go out early in the morning, be out in the woods all day. And how I would eat was I would drink the river water and I would eat the berries and stuff that was out
Yeah.
there for food.
Yeah, that's a proper childhood, though, isn't it?
Mm.
That's a proper childhood. That's a
And
real
I also
childhood.
did stupid stuff too, like climb 300 feet tall trees all the way to the top,
Yeah.
where I could
But
have
you know
died
what?
if I would have fell.
Maybe that's why kids aren't having these experiences anymore, because they're not
Mhm.
getting out there and they're not open like they used to be.
Yeah.
Straight from as soon as they can move their bloody opposable thumbs, they're on computers, aren't they, or games. So maybe
Yeah.
that's I know I sound like an old git, and I am, but maybe that's what wedge your bread, bottle of water.
Yeah.
I remember those days, Brian.
Yeah,
You could
scrumping.
scrum. There's many a bloody roof I fell off or a fence, scrumping local people's apples, and they get chased.
Get over the allotment.
Night, Sarah. Have a good night. Take it easy.
Bye.
Have a good weekend.
I keep forgetting how late it is there.
I know. That's what I say. You got that. Rita was on about fireworks. It's a bit early where you are. I suppose that's people looking out, and yes,
I think it's going to rain and people are lighting some of them off, not all of them.
getting it done before the rain sets in. That makes sense. Head stuffed in tech all day. They're imagining. Yeah, exactly. They're not open to it anymore, are they?
Mhm.
They live in a tech world now, and it's quite frightening when you think about it.
Well, yeah, you're always looking down, never looking up or
Yeah.
out.
Do you know what? Is that if one power surge, if all that tech goes down, they're going to be stuffed, aren't they?
Yeah.
They are going to be stuffed. You know,
Mm.
it is true. I don't think they did have the advantage we had as kids, did they? Really, to go out and properly play and stuff like that, getting the scrapes.
We're going to be the last generation.
Lovely, bright. What's that, mate?
Yeah, we're going to be the last generation who didn't have mobile phones.
I know. Let that sink in. Frightening, isn't it? Let that sink in. To be
Yeah.
honest with you, I don't want one now. Goose got. Oh yes.
I do like me tech though. I do. I must admit. I do.
Do you? I mean,
it's open
because
it does open up a lot like this, doesn't it? And
it does.
But you got to.
I think you got to get a balance.
Balance. That's what I was just doing. Yeah, you got to balance yourself. I mean, I still got. I do like mountain biking, and I still get out into the country. I like to get out. Investigating, and it's better to go on a bike than it is in the car. On a mountain bike,
you see more, don't you?
Yeah. Get on the bridleways.
It's going back to when you were a kid. It's more fun on a push bike.
Yeah.
I
Get
bet
out
you've
on the
got
bridleways.
super all expensive ones, haven't you?
Yeah, it weren't cheap.
Yeah. No. Thing is, though, if you're going to do it, you're better off buying something for a few quid, aren't you, than some piece of crap that's going to keep breaking on you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mary. That's very kind of you.
Yes, thank you, Mary.
Right. Well, we've got 10 minutes left. So next week, should I tell them what we're doing next week, boys, or not?
Sure.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, you could do, because then they could have a look themselves, and then we could have like a discussion with
three-way discussion.
viewers.
That's a good idea. Good
with
idea.
the viewers as well. Yeah.
And I can also put it on the page too.
So next week we are talking about. I'm going to pick one next week, and I'm going to let the boys pick some. We'll take it in turn, so it's a fair share for all of us. And the one I'm going to pick, the last one I'm going to pick for a while, is the Cottingley Fairies, which is a controversial one. But yeah, read up about that, look about that, and then we'll come back and chat about it next week.
Yeah.
It says we used to gather in a barn telling ghost stories to have to walk home a dark country lane. Those were the days, though, Brian.
Yeah.
Oh,
those were the days. Cyros.
Keep saying that.
Yeah, those were the days.
Same thing.
You missed those days, didn't you, in the summer? It's a bit sweaty going home, dirt running down the roads.
Dirty for pine sap.
Mary, how interesting. So I think that's all we've got to talk about on this one this week, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
We haven't done the full hour, but we will try our best to get one rolling out. Next week's one should encompass the hour.
We've got all week to investigate and research these young girls with these fairies.
Yes, definitely.
I remember reading about it years ago.
It is
years
near you.
The photographs. There was some photographs, wasn't there? Is that the same one?
That's the one. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to I won't go too much into it.
No, we won't go into it too much. No, but
all I will say is just Sir Arthur Conan Doyle was enamoured with it and swears to the day he passed that he felt it was a genuine thing. And I think he's the sort of guy that you couldn't. I mean, for God's sake, the man wrote Sherlock Holmes, so you're not going to be able to pull one over on his eyes.
No.
So
has there been any movies? I'll be surprised if there hasn't.
There was one with Paul McGann years ago. Actually, see if you can find it. I'm not sure what it was called.
Yeah, viewers, see if you can find the movie about it. And
Paul McGann. It makes for an interesting. Actually, I'm going to look for that. Actually, it's an interesting film. Good film. Yeah, good film. Goes right through the lives of the girls and what have you. Because both the sisters, I think, lived to quite a ripe old age back in the day.
Yeah.
And then obviously one passed before the other, and there was discrepancies. But then, you'll find out next week. Yeah, it's an interesting one, Noreen. It is an interesting one. And in my opinion, I don't know, I wasn't there, but I think if it's good enough for Sir Arthur Conan Doyle to pull dibs on it, then I think I'll go along with that. Oh, okay, Brian. What did you say?
For that one that you said earlier?
Yeah, the fairies at the bottom of the garden.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, good. Right, guys, I think we'll call it that.
Right.
We are 5 minutes short of a full hour.
Well, thanks for joining us, everybody. Have a good night.
Good night, everybody, and we will speak to you next week.